Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Sunday, the 30th of March, and there's a lot of well wishes to go round, isn't there? Happy Eid Mubarak. It's a blessed festival for many people that I know, I'm sure you know, so enjoy that for whoever will be celebrating. Happy Mother's Day as well, so big shout out to all the mums there. If your mum's with them, make sure you spoil them rotten. So important. But also, it's important to remember on things like Mother's Day, it can be a sad day and a bit of pain for a lot of people. So just remember to check in on your pals there as well. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from pretty sunny Edinburgh. And it does feel sunny more than anything. And maybe, just maybe, because there's not been a Liverpool game for 87,000 years. We are close, people. Next week, next Wednesday, it's that Merseyside derby. Only a few days to hang on to this one. And I make absolutely no apologies whatsoever for just showing this on the screen, as I have done 87,000 times before as well. For those that can't see on YouTube, you're missing out. Look at that Premier League table. The Reds currently on 70 points. 12 points clear of Lagoed's team, who are on 58. It's brilliant to look at. Wednesday, under the lights at Anfield, it is back. It's getting drooling never saying that. But let's talk about the stories coming out today. So if you look at the Liverpool website this morning, the big thing is about, and you almost forget this, the Golden Glove, because they've talked about, or they've had stories about, Mo Salah and the Playmaker Award, the Golden Boot, etc. But Alisson has, and it's fair to say this word carefully, an outside shot at the Golden Glove. And he is chasing an incredible figure, 100 Premier League clean sheets. Now, as this article says, he's won it twice before, 18, 19, 21, 22. He's currently on 8. Kelleher is on 3. You forget he has that injury earlier this season, so it could have been more, but he currently is on 8. Nottingham Forest sells. He's currently on 12. Raya on 11. So you've got to be honest and say it's a real outside shot with 9 games to go. But it would just be nice to get back to some clean sheets, wouldn't it, after recent ones? And people will look and say, well, the Southampton one, he's a bit culpable in that, no doubt. But you think of his heroics in Paris, just his heroics all round anyway. You'd love him to at least come close, wouldn't you, and get one more. And yeah, we'll steer into whether he'll be here too much longer. But the big thing to also note, with 9 games to go, if he gets 6 clean sheets, he reaches that magic 100 shutout club. Yeah, that'd be pretty special, wouldn't it, for Alisson, realistically? So, yeah, it would be great if that was to happen. Barry McLaughlin saying there, I can't wait for games to start again. Contract renewals, a dark cloud over number 20th push. And there may be a few, I get it, like Barry, others feeling a bit like the stories recently, the other scenario that we'll talk about in a second, have put a dark cloud. But never forget, it's always about what happens on the pitch, people. 70 points. We can still reach 97. There's still a title to play for. And in the immediate future, Wednesday, the Reds are back in action. And that is going to be exciting. But right now, I never thought like a 1 or 2 second clip on Instagram would dominate everything. But social media exploded yesterday. And as Ali says there, Salah loves this cryptic, the S word. Yeah, Mo Salah is a highly intelligent man. We know his focus, his laser-like, his determination to succeed, all those qualities. But this is a guy that, as we know, plays chess. He's a very strategic thinker, has the bigger picture always in mind. And a guy that's talked about things that happen on the world stage. So when he plays this clip, or puts this clip up to his Instagram story the other day, he knows what he's doing. Absolutely knows 100% what he's doing. So for those that can see it on social media, YouTube, etc., It starts with Dominic Szoboszlai there, looking across. Ibu on a sofa, looking across. Looking at Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I don't know whose home that is. It's obviously one of the four players you would assume. That's really important to say. But it's the fact they're all looking at Trent. So Bosley staring intensely. There's always been talk about like their little love relationship. But everyone's eyes seem focused and it's Trent speaking. This could just be literally chatting. This could literally just be like talking about the running and wanting to show focus. However, with everything that's going on, some of the theories on this are abounding, aren't they? And Ali say it's Trent's home. Might well be. But they all seem focused on Trent. And unless you've been living under a rock, even Stevie Wonder's seen the news about Trent recently. Yeah, there's some wild ones. Now, the ultimate optimist are going, this is it. He's doing a U-turn. It's a Zubomendi style thing. It's Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street giving it that I'm not leaving type of thing and getting wildly excited. Others, in terms of an intervention, they're trying to stage an intervention and say, don't go. And that's why everyone's buying into Szoboszlai's looks there. I'm not reading too much into this. I'm not reading too much into this at all. The only thing I am really reading into is the fact that Mo Salah has chosen to do this. Yeah, this is an intelligent guy. He's very, say, calculated would put a negative slant on it, but he's very thoughtful. He thinks about everything that he does that way. So, yeah, maybe one to keep an eye on. And by the way, Arne Slot's press conference on Tuesday, you know he's going to get asked about Trent. Would anyone give me a bet that that's going to be the first question? I bet they wouldn't take that, would they? So we'll see what's happening there. Yeah, Saigo Pal makes an interesting point. Konate also currently on contract talks deadline. I've seen people tweeting saying Konate's listening to get advice, and I'll take. But a million theories abound. We'll have to see what develops on this, and they're flying in the chat panel. The biggest story maybe yesterday for a lot of people, though, was this one, wasn't it? As the David Ornstein bomber, when it dropped about 11-ish or just before 11 a.m. yesterday, the FSG are exploring purchasing a stake in Malaga, purchasing Sheikh, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, Abdullah Al-Thani's 51% stake. Now, in the article, it mentions a number of things, that it's 51% owned by the Sheikh and 49% owned by a Spanish hotel and real estate group. It's also mentioned, as Paul Joyce came out yesterday and said, and we mentioned on a special yesterday, that PSG are looking to acquire this as a multi-club as well. If we think, and it referenced it in the article from David Ornstein, we know about the failure or the pullout, you could call it that, for Bordeaux, that like it was going through at one stage. 100 million is mooted to buy this stake, the 51%. And James Pearce also contributes to this article when saying, what does it mean? That you almost forget it's been over 12 months since Michael Edwards has been back, since that's been announced. So you would think, that was coming towards something, and the big thing for me in this is no one else had this. Let's not pretend, let's not fib for 1 second. FSG, or club officials, as it said, visited in February. No one had this at all. And for me digging around and asking other journalists, no one had this at all. So that kind of gives me hope that we can still be sneaky and just move in the shadows a little bit that way. But this is probably the biggest thing for me, and just a line from the article. Since post-Brexit regulations came into force in 2021, English clubs are no longer able to sign players under the age of 18 from overseas. Owning a club in a country which is still a member of the EU can help to circumvent those rules, as players can be based there until adulthood. So there's the one for younger players and what we may be looking at for development. For older players, initially ineligible to get a work permit to play in the UK, placing them at another club can be beneficial. So this does expand the wider market, let loans there, potentially moves for younger players, but older players who might not get that work permit in the UK straight away. Yeah, that is believable. We'll see if it comes to anything. I mean, I've also seen the wild theories. There's a few in the chat panel. Like, this means FSG won't spend a penny on us in the summer. Like, who knows? This might not even come to fruition for all we're aware of. It's just a breaking link. That's all it is. We'll see what develops with this one. Other news, and this was probably one of the big ones. This player, Ryan Taylor from the Daily Mirror, put this out, that Liverpool and Arsenal both have Alexander Isak as their top target, but both are interested in Hugo Ekitike, the Frenchman, but currently playing his trade at Eintracht Frankfurt. This is one that really splits the fan base. A lot of people have watched Ekitike recently and said, yeah, like him, like the look, got a decent goals record, quick, various things. Others saying that, no, he's the cheaper version. Someone tweeted the other day, he's the Wish.com, the Temu version of Alexander Isak, which seems really harsh. And I know there's a few question marks around his finishing. Me and Bart's ran the profile on him from Transfer Market Metrics. And just for those that can see, when you can look at the FB Ref profile, there's a lot of green, as we like to say, a lot of 90 plus percentile ratings for Hugo Ekitike. And if you overlay his profile on the FB charts against Alexander Isak, it is very, very similar. Very close. General headline call-outs, I mean, in his league and in Europa, 16 goals, 7 assists. Yes, there's other tournaments in Germany, but we're talking the headline tournaments here as well. Also, because he plays in the Bundesliga, you can get his physical metrics. So if you look at his speed, KMH, 35.5. That is rapid. 36 is like absolutely electric. Yeah, the top sprints, like very, very quick. So that will come into it as well. The only thing it would be remiss of me not to call out is he's playing in the Bundesliga. So when you look from an analyst point of view of measuring that against the Premier League, that's based on a 0.84 basis. So that would mean you're taking off about 16% of his stats that way. So that comes into the market as well. The other thing to consider is he is 22. A lot of the people that we're looking at forwards-wise, like Isak, Alvarez has been linked, Kuna, etc., they tend to be around the 25 to 26 mark, don't they? So, yeah, that is just something to consider at the same time. He does have that ability to leap a bit higher. There may be a younger element of potential, but you will decide if you like Hugo Ekitike or not. But that name seems to be in the mix, and Ryan Taylor from the Daily Mirror mentions him again there. Off the field, this one. Now, this pod has been out a couple of days, but I've had to listen to this. I think it's a brilliant one. It really is. I'm sure people remember or know the name Vitor Matos, part of Jurgen Klopp's team, wasn't he? Head of youth development, very much involved in that journey for the likes of Kwanzaa, Bradley, even Trent mentioned, developing, getting young players into the first team, and got a very warm reception, well regarded in the game, came from Porto, didn't he? Worked with Pep Linders, who maybe isn't regarded as highly by a lot of Liverpool fans. That's up to you. So for this, I'll just stop sharing my screen because I want to make sure the sound's enabled from this. I just want to play a minute or so clip. And big shout out to Training Ground Guru podcast and their site because they get a lot of good interviews. But just wanted to hear an introduction to this one around Liverpool.
And that for me was the most important thing on that time.
And Liverpool have done very, very well since you left. It may be a bit of a surprise for people how smooth the transition has seemed to be. I know they had a bad week last week, obviously, but overall very, very good. What are the main changes you've seen tactically with the team under Arne Slot?
I think, first of all, what Arne did, I think, is outstanding, because It's not easy to replace Jurgen. We tried to leave the club, and Jurgen left the club in a really good moment in terms of when he arrived and when he left. The main idea was to leave the club in a better position. I think the squad that we left we all had the feeling that it was a squad ready to win titles as well. And they have an unbelievable team in terms of togetherness, but it's not easy. It's not easy to come to Liverpool. It's a big club. And at the same time, replacing Jurgen as someone that was so loved by everyone.
Not going to play it too much more, but I would really recommend that one, just an insight into Vitor Matos. And literally, there's so many bits I've had to listen to this morning linked to Jurgen Klopp, Pep Linders. But if it's just literally about recency and everything around Arne Slot, that starts from around 39 minutes. And Matos does talk about tactics and the nature of the changes, where you may have seen quotes from various outlets, but also Ryan Gravenberch. There's an interesting little snippet on that. So if there was a guilty pleasure, a real call out for this weekend, big shout out to Training Ground Guru podcast, Vitor Matos. I would say that is well worth a listen. AI content wise, got you covered. In terms of articles, I mean, this one's an interesting report for me. Everyone's different on this, but you've probably seen the links for Jurgen Klopp as a name for Real Madrid. No. I honestly believe you take the great man at his word, done with touchline management, loves his football, but like that photo and the other things we've seen recently from him when he's traveling the world, Jurgen's having the time of his life. He's now getting paid by Red Bull almost for his expertise, chatting to people, being that presence, that gravitas in certain areas. I honestly believe now, from the recent clips, videos, everything you've seen, he genuinely looks years younger from when he ended at Liverpool. Years younger, looks refreshed, revitalized, all those types of things. I honestly just can't see him in a dugout anymore. Knowing what he said previously, that there'd be a bit of me that thinks he doesn't even want the stress. Just something to think about there. Also, the links to more of the Matos quotes, that's in the article. Isaac's name won't go away at all, will it? Hugo Larsson, his name also came out. Now, again, me and Bart's have profiled him on Transfer Market Metrics. So you can listen, you can hear that one as well if you want to search for it. But yeah, the price tag's interesting. It's moved to around 50 to 60 million, like we said. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what develops there. But if articles you think, got you covered. If you are more of a YouTube, shout out to anyone who's watching us on that platform. There's plenty out even in the last 24 hours alone. We previewed April, what even word is that? April on Red Alert. We looked at Liam Delap and on TMM. Not a fan of that one, I've got to be honest. We had a good review yesterday of the FSG news and links to Malaga. Me and Trev broke down the contract news and just the impact on that. So we'll see. G&G, they talked about the Trent news as well. And then the other one we've released in the last 24 hours, Red Alert, we talked about what could be classed as a good transfer window, the importance of keeping the other two stars, but also the names that we're linked with, who we'd like to see. So we have got you covered out the wazoo for content that way. But I wanted to leave this one till last, and I think it's absolutely right to do it. So Jan Fidzi, as many will know him, that unfortunately we got the news Anfield Index had passed away, but we're re-releasing, as it says there, the 12 episodes of his brilliant Jumpers for Goalpost series. And I know it's hit a lot of people at Anfield Index, and it's been amazing actually to see sort of the outpour in the comments from so many. But started today, already listened to the first one. I don't really want to give too much more. If I can just recommend anything, keep listening to these as they come out, because they are brilliant. They'll drop ad-free, as it says, on the main AI and Pro feeds daily at 7 o'clock starting tomorrow. And also in the near future, I know Jim Borman from Scouser Tommy's, the pods he's done with him will be re-released. So I'll be listening to those, as I'm sure many of you will be intently. But there we go, ladies and gents. And maybe on that note, just important to remind people, Mother's Day, if it is positive, make sure you share that with your mum, that love. But obviously, some people struggle with today for natural reasons. So make sure you reach out to family and pals that way. But on Sunday, the 30th of March, that was another Daily Red for Anfield Index.